Hey, welcome. Today, we're diving into something truly fascinating, the science of how our brains actually learn. We're going to pull some incredible ideas from David Weno's Neuroscience for Educators to figure out how we can, well, literally build better brains.
Back in 1979, Pink Floyd dropped this absolute anthem, a protest for so many students who felt like they were just cogs in a machine. And it brings up a huge question that we're still wrestling with today.
I mean, is that really what education is all about? Just creating conformity, another brick in the wall? Or is it about setting our minds free and helping us become who we're meant to be? The cool part is, modern neuroscience is giving us a really clear, really powerful answer to that question.
So, to get to that answer, we've got to start with the basics, our brain's fundamental blueprint. And yeah, that takes us right into that classic debate, nature versus nurture. How much of you is already decided by your DNA?
It's a big question, right? Our personalities, our intelligence, our talents, are they just locked in from day one? Or do we actually get to have a say in the matter? Well, the science here is pretty amazing.
The book uses this brilliant analogy. Think of your genes like a set of IKEA instructions. Now, some steps are totally non-negotiable, right? Step 1, attach leg here, period. That's what we call genetic determination. Think of your blood type. It's fixed, but so many of the instructions for our minds are more like genetic conditioning. They're like that optional step. You can put the drawer on the long side or the short side. It's a suggestion. So your genes might give you a nudge towards being impulsive, but it's your environment, your education, that ultimately decides how that piece of you gets built.
And look at intelligence, for example. Genes? Yeah, they account for about 45% of the difference between people. But check out that bigger slice of the pie. Over half of it comes down to our environment and, you guessed it, education. Our genes give us the starting point, for sure, but education is the architect that actually builds on that foundation.
Okay, so if our brains aren't just rigidly pre-programmed, then how do they work? Let's go from the blueprint to the incredible structure itself and find out how it actually holds on to everything we learn.
So here it is. It's not just some simple storage container. It's a living, dynamic network of about 85 billion neurons. I mean, the complexity is just staggering. But for a really long time, we were using the wrong metaphor for how it all works.
We used to picture the brain as a palace of memory, or maybe you thought of it like a computer's hard drive or a big filing cabinet. The idea was that you had all these empty rooms, and the job of education was just to stuff them full of facts. But that's not how it works at all.
Here's the key idea. The real power of the brain isn't in its storage space, but in its connectivity. It's not about how big the rooms are, it's about how many hallways connect those rooms. That's what really matters.
These connections, these pathways, they are learning physically. Every single thing you learn, whether it's a new word, a math concept, or the memory of a first kiss, it physically creates and strengthens these neural pathways. Learning isn't some abstract idea. It's a biological, architectural process.
And this leads us to one of the most powerful ideas in all of neuroscience. Teaching isn't just about passing along information. It is the act of physically changing another person's brain. If you're an educator, you are literally sculpting the neural architecture of your students. Think about that.
All right, now we're getting to the real heart of it. If education is all about building these connections, what's the one thing, the single most important ingredient that makes those connections strong and makes them last?
This is the million-dollar question, isn't it? Every teacher, every student, every parent wants to know. Why do some things stick with us forever, while other stuff just evaporates the second we walk out of the classroom?
We've got a lot of guesses. Maybe it's just repeating things over and over again, or maybe it's pure logic, or just studying really hard, or maybe you just have to have a good memory. And yeah, those things all play a part, but they all miss the real key, the brain's master switch. The real answer is actually tied to our deepest, most primal instincts. See, the brain, above all else, is a survival machine. It's hardwired to remember anything and everything that might help keep us alive.
And there it is, emotion. That's the secret sauce. Whenever learning is connected to an emotion, joy, surprise, curiosity, even a little bit of healthy stress, the brain flags that information as being critical for survival. Emotion is basically a biological highlighter pen that tells your brain, hey, pay attention, this is important, you need to remember this.
A really great way to think about this is the car analogy. Emotion is the accelerator. It's the raw power, the gas, the thing that gets you moving and creates that initial spark. Reason, on the other hand, is the brake and the steering wheel. It gives you control, direction, and helps you navigate. You need both, obviously. But without that accelerator, you're just sitting in the driveway, going nowhere.
So when you put all of this together, it completely changes how we think about the role of an educator. You're not just a teacher. You are a genuine architect of the human brain.
And first things first, let's just bust a huge myth right now. That whole idea that we only use 10% of our brain? Yeah, that's totally false. We use all of it, just not all at the same time. The potential to shape it, to build it, is always there.
In fact, and this is a wild little detail from the research, your brain is often most active when you're not even trying to focus, when you're daydreaming or distracted, or even when you're asleep. That's when it's working hard behind the scenes, consolidating memories, forging new connections, and reinforcing everything you've learned. Downtime is absolutely crucial learning time.
So what does it mean to be a brain architect? It means understanding that genes are just the beginning of the story. It means your real job is to build a rich palace of connections, not just to fill up empty rooms. And most importantly, it means using emotion to flip that master switch for learning and realizing that every single interaction is a physical act of brain shaping.
And that leaves us with one final, pretty powerful thought. Now that you know this, that you are, quite literally, an architect of the mind, the only question left is, what are you going to build?